I've been asked before, what's your favorite car in sim racing? It's an impossible question really, but the other day I did have a scroll through my obscenely long list of options in Assetto Corsa, and I couldn't help but scroll back to this. The Maserati 250F. I've featured this car in videos before, several actually, and once again, here she is. The 250F was a remarkable car. Raced competitively between 1954 and 1960, it's perhaps the best example of the pinnacle in front-engined Grand Prix cars. Could be a Ferrari 246 or the Mercedes 196, but the 250F, if not in raw performance, it definitely had the looks. It most commonly used the Maserati Straight 6, outputting roughly 220 horsepower. Not crazy numbers, but balanced in almost every way. And in its 46 official Grand Prix starts, never mind the countless non-championship Grand Prix, it won 8 of them behind the hands of Stirling Moss and Juan Manuel Fangio, the best of Grand Prix drivers of the day and arguably all time. I love the way the tail slopes downwards. The model is just beautiful. It best resembles the car as it ran at Monaco in 1957, I believe. Just looking at photos of Fangio's car from that race, I'm sure it was built off a specific example. You see, these cars were all unique. There weren't CNC machines creating perfect parts. Each car was shaped and built by hand. Parts and bodywork from one car wouldn't fit another. Everything was custom made, and this rendition just oozes that feeling for me. It's partly that slight unevenness and imperfections that attract me to this car. It really feels like a real machine, and it's something that's hard to capture in these sims. This car is a default Assetto Corsa car, one of the Kunos cars, or at least was included in their first DLC, I believe, the Red Pack. If you pick up the Ultimate Edition of Assetto Corsa, which sometimes sells for as little as $8 these days, this one's included. Kunos didn't need to make this car. 1950s and earlier cars are pretty rare in sims. But I'm so happy they did, because I think it helped set that tone for what kind of cars and racing Assetto Corsa could do. And because of it, we've got so much historic racing in Assetto Corsa today. So let's take it for a little drive, just a couple laps around one of my favorite courses to complement one of my favorite cars. This is the vintage Nürburgring, but it's not like you've seen it before. The perfect car and track pairing that makes this hobby so fun. Alright, so here we are at the back of the grid. Full grid of cars, lights are lit. Out, and we're underway. Let's see if we can sneak around a few of these guys. Classic Assetto Corsa start, there we go. Around half the field. So we'll head on down to the first corner now. Peter Collins in front there in the 3 car. See if we can get alongside him. We'll come on down though, brake nice and early for the first turn, down to second gear, just let it glide on in, nice and easy. Get the back end to slide around and get a nice power slide going there. Up to second, onto the back section of the course. This will ride us on past the pit complex. All the crews would hang their heads out, watch the cars go by. The last time for at least the next 8 minutes. So we'll rush on down, then brake nice and early again for the end of the straight. Right down to first, nice and easy does it in. These tires never really grip up. You say they got cold tires off the line, then they overheat pretty much instantly, and then you're sliding around anyway, so the tires are always an issue in these cars. That's part of what makes them so much fun. So we'll guide it into the Hotzenbach section. Always easy to outbrake yourself in this corner, down to first gear. A lot tighter than it looks on entry. Of course, not a lot of curbing on a lot of these corners, then a big bit of curbing up the inside there as we'll get one of the tires on it. That's one of those things I like about this car, is that you can see the full front tires, the full suspension. You feel really just out in the air in this car. Allows you to place that front end exactly where you want it. on down now towards the Flugplatz. See if we can get any air in this car. Up to 4th gear for the first time, just for a moment. Up over the top of the rise. Yeah, a little bit of air there. Down to 3rd. And then the double right-hander. Guiding it on through, catching this group in front. This is an awesome AI skin pack, I believe by a user that goes by Mr. Malarkey over on Race Department, but it's basically a collection of all the different drivers and teams that race this car, or a lot of them anyway, from 1954 through 1960 or so, and has helmets and everything with them. Really adds a lot of authenticity to running this against some AI. So get it down to 1st gear and slide it on through Arenberg. Of course, you never would have run, there never would have been races back in the day with just this car. It would have been up against the rest of the Grand Prix field, but this really is one of the only cars we have from this era that's of this quality. And having a skin set like this really makes it feel alive for running some races. All right, come up to a tighter section, Adenauer. Down to 1st gear, just let the car glide its way on through. I just have so much enjoyment driving this car that I really could do it anytime. As soon as it pops in my mind, it's all I want to do. Let that rear end slide out just a little bit. And wants to chase around us. Now we'll start heading downhill, and you really notice elevation changes in this car, and it makes it oversteer a whole lot more. As you can see, the rear end slide around at the top of the hill. Just be nice and careful. I have a feeling the group in front's going to be awful interesting up here. So get it into Dryrex now. Not so easy to hit, miss, but somehow get away with it. I got a car right behind me. I think it's Collins still. Just saw a splash of green in the mirrors. The mirrors in this car, practically useless. I have to imagine in the real car they would have been as well, just vibrating away the whole time. All right, but closing up nicely on the group in front. These cars race really well here. For the most part, you might get some interesting stuff once in a while as we'll come in to the bottom of the hill then. Right over the little bridge. Not as much of a jump here. I'm used to the AMS2 version at this point. It's got the big jump there. This one a bit smoother. Still a very lovely track, this. Alright, but now we'll run it towards Lauda's corner. 3rd gear. You can almost go flat out here to the left. Just gotta be careful there. Dip it in. Get on the throttle nice and early. I always talk about it in these old cars, but what you really want to do is get on the throttle as early as possible. So back up your corner, slow down earlier if it means that you can get on the throttle earlier, because so much of the turning is done when you hit the throttle. It really just helps rotate the car, so if you can get on that throttle before the apex, it's just going to help out so much. Fly up the back section of the course, 3rd gear here, a bit more dust in front. As my competitors use all of the track and then some. And 3rd here at the top of the hill. It's only a 4-speed, but that makes it nice and simple on the gearbox, and with the H pattern and clutch and everything, you'll definitely be thankful for that. All right, down to 2nd gear here. Get a nice exit. You got that wheel cranked at 45 degrees, you know you've got it exiting correct. All right, come to the top of the hill, really revved it out there. We're coming up towards the carousel. As the 2 in front run a bit wide, almost get me to do the same. We'll chase it down the bottom of the track. Right up to 2nd gear. Look for the pine tree in front. Jackie Stewart said you'd aim for that. There it is. Nice and easy. Always want to enter a bit slow if you can. Car in front runs wide. Ooh, and out to the barrier. Gonna try to get it back in the carousel. You might as well just avoid it at that point. Alright, run up the hill, getting to the highest point on the track now. Just gonna dip out, just touch the dirt. Down a 2nd again. You get a nice little run, just a little too far back to pass. Sometimes you can sneak it up the inside here. Right over the rise and into a lot of folks' favorite section of this course, I know. Definitely in a car like this, it's very challenging. These late apex corners where the track kind of falls away. So miss the apex there. Definitely tricky stuff. Understeering into oversteer. Get down to first gear to the right here. Car in front slides a little bit wide. Come over the rise, the jump at Brunchen. It's been flattened out a lot these days. Come through Brunchen there. Facing the sun. We're in a late afternoon here. It just looks so nice. Assetto Corsa is so pretty to look at when you get everything working. Alright, but now over the rise, we'll chase it downhill. Track falls away a lot here. A little bit late on the turn in, gonna understeer, plow through the middle of the corner. There's just no saving it if you go too far. Slide it around, coming towards the end of this section now. Try to find a place around the car in front. Get it crossed up there. To third gear. Through little chicane. Well, as the cars in front get a bit wide, gonna give me a little bit of a run, but they're gonna block the inside. We got a bunch of smoke from a car in front as well. We'll come over the bridge and head up towards the second carousel. Right, up to second gear then. Past all the camping on the left. Not a great exit onto the Döttinger. But I did mention at the start of this, in the intro to this video, that this Nürburgring's not exactly like you'd expect. And that's because we've got the uninterrupted Döttinger straight as the two in front, going side by side, the red car just dipping into the dirt there. I think he's trying to pass Bonnier on the outside. We're not sure who's driving the red car there, but we'll sweep through the left-hander here, and the Tiergarten section is not on this course. We're flat out in fourth gear. Let's give it a little bit of a lift. Half expecting to see a car sideways in the road in front, but luckily not. And we'll come up through the end of the lap where you'd be expected to really slow down. I'm going to have to a little bit because these two in front are playing side to side, but now we'll go straight over the crest where the chicane is and come through to round out the lap at a much higher speed. Get it up to fourth gear, cross the line, and end lap number one. So P6, we got one more lap to go. Collins behind me, not too far off. And we'll brake nice and early for the first corner because you're going so much faster. So lock up the left front, try to get up the inside. Man, luckily Bonnier is actually able to avoid me there. He ran it wide too. Block the inside then. But this is Nürburgring pre-1967, 66 and earlier. They ran it without that chicane. That was added to slow the cars down, which going through there at that pace, you can see why you really needed that chicane on a track like this, especially as cars got faster and faster. One of the only major modifications to the Nürburgring throughout its history. But so cool that it's been added in. This is Willy T. Riker's version of the Nürburgring that's been out for forever, but modified just a little bit by another user to add it as it was pre-67. I absolutely love it for cars like these. Hopefully we can get a better run through there on this second lap and try to get around Bonnier in front here. The red car is sweeping away, but it might be a little bit quicker than Bonnier. Right up to the inside, just touching the dirt there. The sun's getting a little bit lower now. Really tough to see through the windscreen in spots. Just feed the wheel nice and slow. Want to be as smooth as you can. I'm not always doing it. Something always to work on with this car, but it rewards nice, smooth driving. You're very precise, but firm with all your inputs. A little bit late on the apex there. We'll slide the car just to make it up. Jump on the throttle and head down the hill towards the Flugplatz again. Might be able to get a run on Bonnier in front if we can get a good run through the double right-hander after. Get on the brakes just a little early, is slower through there. Is a bit wide coming through the double right-hander. Try to maximize the exit. There we go, on the throttle hard, get it up to 4th gear. Up and over the rise, such a fast part of the course, so sketchy to do anything. This is going to be right there in front of me on the line. There's really only one line through here, down to 3rd. It's a bit hot. Let's see if we can get him into Arenberg, though. He's going to chase me out to the inside of the track. Really sliding it out wide. Almost lost the rear of the car there. We'll get it up the inside, though. Just axle to axle. It's not quite enough. So he's going to have a run down through the foxhole. Oh, and it's the thrill of it. This is what's so much fun about this car. It always feels like you're right on the verge of something going terribly wrong. But it's thrilling because of that. All right, get it down to 2nd. Got another car in my mirrors, I think. Just seeing him here and there for a second. Down to 1st into Adenauer. Bonnier leaves the inside open, try to get a good exit here, but he took the faster line through there. Just carried a bit more speed. All right, up to 3rd gear. We'll come to the double left-hander here. Close up on him quite a lot there. Whoa, right to the outside, almost rear-ending Bonnier. Gonna grab the grass just a little bit. Making a little mistake, but not too bad. Didn't throw it off the course, luckily. All right, down to 1st into Callenhard. Be really careful not to over-push the car here. It's so easy to go just a little too hard and run off the course. There's nothing but hedges and trees to await you. We go a bit sloppy through Drarex, but not too bad. Down to 1st for the slowest corner on the entire course. Bonnier runs a bit wide. He's going to sweep through, though. He likes that outside line. So the AI here, they're really good. I did do something with these cars, though. Something I recommend, it's something I've learned a little bit with racing AI in Assetto Corsa, is making an alternate version as Bonnier gets really close to the outside wall there. But using the Car Tuner app, which I'll link in the description of the video, you can make a copy of cars, and then I always increase their tire grip just slightly, 15% or so. And I'll share my numbers and things for this car, but it allows the AI to corner just a little bit faster than they do otherwise, which is one of the main issues I've always had with AI and Assetto Corsa. And I think they end up running quite nicely after you get through some of the start shenanigans. Just have a little bit more cornering grip, and allows the front runners, the really fast cars, to be that much quicker. Bonnier's pulling ahead just a little bit. We got to see if I can get a nice line through this section to catch up. Caught to the little chicane up here. It's quite tricky in this car to get right. Put it back down to 3rd gear for it. It's so easy just to spear off into the hill, and then you go for a wild ride. On the throttle just as I turn in the car, just to help it turn. We'll get to the top of the hill then. It's always a little bit tighter than you think it is. Down to 2nd. Track also cambers away from you there. And we'll come up to the carousel section, down to 1st gear here. It's going to run out wide. Almost do the same thing again. Drift through the entire corner. This is one car where drifting is not as slow as you might think it would be. It actually can help you in a lot of corners. You've got a nice drift going. Bonnier slides in right at the top of the carousel, though. I'll follow him through. It's just the raw thrill of driving a car like this. There's on a circuit like this too. It's just you in the car. You've got the controls. There's nothing else that you can do but just drive better. Know the course a little bit better than your competitors. And feels really good when you get some good laps going. A little bit scrappy in this race. Up to second gear. Through the top of the hill now. All downhill to the finish. Track scoops you up here. Still gonna run a little bit wide though. Put it down a gear to help you turn. Slows you down a little bit, but you can get yourself out of bad situations. Try to carry a little bit of speed down to first as you're turning. Shifting and turning is always hard with these cars as well. Come into bridge in again. Cross the bridge. I'd say the only thing missing on this version of the course are the crowds. I think there would be a little bit more crowds around the outsides of it. Down to first for just a moment. So we're well into the evening now. The trees shining. We're getting a little bit dark in spots. Got a couple cars there. Bit of smoke in front too. Through Flensgarden. Right out to the edge of the track. Pulling Bonnier in just a little bit here, but will it be too late to get him? Over the rise up to third gear. We'll come through this little chicane in front. Bonnier runs right out to the edge of the track, right up to the fence. Bunch of smoke in front. I think a car up in that fence. Everybody's pushing hard, trying to get to the finish. Just a few corners to go now. And coming to the second carousel, down to first gear. This one's a lot faster, just want to throw it in. Didn't quite get the line right there, but try to get a good exit. You can see your shadow. Love the Roadster look of it. It is such a beautiful car, as we'll come onto the Döttinger. Put my shoe in it. A little bit too early though. Alright, slide it out onto the Döttinger, get it up to third gear. It's going to be a bit too far back, I think, from Bonnier in front, but we'll see how he negotiates the final straight here without chicane. The fourth gear then, flat out. Might be able to use slightly taller gearing for this, but really need all four gears. It's a compromise, I think, on either side. We'll come to the end of the straight. Try to be as daring as possible here through the left-hander. Oh, a car bounces over the top of the rise. Carry a good amount of speed there, just understeered the whole way. You still have to slow down just a little bit for this, down to third gear. But then pick up the throttle again. Rocket then onto the front stretch. There we go, full speed over the bridge and come to the line. Just wasn't able to catch Bonnier through the race, but such a fantastic run as we got a whole string of retirees in the garage there in the pit stalls. I love this car so much, and hopefully could convey a little bit of why throughout a couple laps at the Nürburgring, but I think it's a car that can really teach you a lot of good habits in driving older cars. It might be a bit difficult at first, intimidating. It's a heavy car for its size, for the amount of grip and things you have, especially compared to modern cars. It's heavy, doesn't have a lot of grip, doesn't seem to have a lot of power at first, and then suddenly you'll spin around. But if you can master this car, I think you can drive a lot of different older cars, and it certainly can then get you into a lot of the older Grand Prix cars. So thanks for coming for a ride with me. Hope it was fun to watch, and I think I got to get back out there, see if I can best Bonnier the next time.